Imagine a world where your groceries were paid for with seashells, your rent with bags of salt, and your salary, maybe a few goats and a handful of shiny beads. Wild, right? But believe it or not, that's exactly how trade worked for thousands of years. Imagine a world where your groceries were paid for with seashells, your rent with bags of salt, and your salary, maybe a few goats and a handful of shiny beads. Wild, right? But believe it or not, that's exactly how trade worked for thousands of years. Today, we swipe a card or tap a phone. But how did we get from bartering cows to digital cryptocurrency? Let's dive into the fascinating rust of how currency was created and how it's shaped the world we live in. Before money existed, people used the barter system, a direct exchange of goods and services. You might trade a sack of wheat for a piece of pottery or offer fishing nets in exchange for meat. Sounds simple enough, right? But this system had one big flaw, what economists call the double coincidence of wants. Let's say you make shoes, but you need apples. You have to find someone who not only has apples, but wants shoes at that exact moment. It's like trying to find your exact match on a dating app without filters. Frustrating and inefficient. In smaller communities where everyone knew each other and mostly shared the same needs, bartering worked okay. But once populations grew, jobs specialized, and trade expanded beyond towns and borders, bartering simply couldn't keep up. Markets needed something more flexible, something that could be used by anyone, anywhere, for anything. As societies grew and trade expanded, people needed something easier, something everyone would accept. And that, my friend, is where currency enters the picture. The earliest forms of money weren't coins or bills. They were commodity money. That means items with intrinsic value were used as a medium of exchange. Things like salt, spices, tea, tobacco, even large stones called rye in Micronesia. These weren't just trade items, they were status symbols. Salt was so valuable in ancient Rome, soldiers were sometimes paid in it. That's actually where we get the word salary from. Salarium, meaning salt money. Bet your paycheck never tasted so savory. However, carrying around heavy or perishable goods wasn't exactly convenient. So, as civilizations became more complex, they needed money that was portable, durable, and hard to fake. Enter metal money. Civilizations began using precious metals like gold, silver, and bronze. Not just because they were shiny, but because they were rare, durable, and easy to shape. The first official coins were minted around 600 BCE in the ancient kingdom of Lydia, modern-day Turkey. These coins were made of electrum, a natural alloy of gold and silver. They were stamped with symbols to show authenticity and weight, basically the original security watermark. Coins caught on fast. They made trade easier, unified empires, and made it simpler to collect taxes. But carrying a bag of coins still wasn't ideal for long-distance trade, which brings us to something revolutionary. Fast forward to 7th century China, where the Tang dynasty started using promissory notes, kind of like early checks. But it was during the Song dynasty that the government introduced the first true paper money, jiaozi. Paper was lighter, easier to carry, and could represent any amount of value. But here's the catch. It only worked because people trusted it. Unlike gold or salt, paper had no real value. Its power came from belief in the government that printed it and the people who accepted it. And that's a key concept we still rely on today. Money is trust. A $100 bill only has value because we all agree it does. As trade grew, banks emerged to store money, issue loans, and later print their own notes. Eventually, central banks were formed to regulate national currencies. Fast forward again, and now we've moved from paper bills to plastic cards, online banking, and even cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Cryptocurrency, unlike traditional money, isn't backed by governments. It runs on blockchain technology, a decentralized digital ledger that tracks every transaction. It's money without middlemen. Cool, right? But also controversial. Cryptos like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and newer digital coins aim to provide transparency, speed, and security. But they also bring challenges like volatility, regulation, and environmental impact. Still, many believe we're witnessing the birth of a new financial era, one where digital assets and decentralized finance may become just as trusted as paper cash once was. Whether crypto is the future or just a phase is still up for debate. But one thing's for sure, money continues to evolve just like society. From seashells to smartphones, the story of currency is the story of us. So next time you tap your phone to buy a coffee, take a second to think about the thousands of years of innovation, trade, and trust that led to that moment. From salt to coins to crypto, money has always been more than just currency. It's a reflection of our values, our systems, and our imagination. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing stories from history, economics, and beyond. What do you think the future of money looks like? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear them.